Political Council of ALBA-TCP met this Thursday at the United Nations with an agenda that included the definition of strategies to help face the challenges of current geopolitics, the climate crisis, and unilateral coercive measures. The general debate of the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly continues as world leaders discuss world challenges. An Israel airstrike in the southern of Beirut in Lebanon killed the head of Hezbollah's drone unit. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Political Council of ALBA-TCP met this Thursday at the United Nations with an agenda that included the definition of strategies to help face the challenges of current geopolitics, the climate crisis, and unilateral coercive measures. This way, leaders of member countries agreed that the meeting served as a new opportunity to analyze the achievements reached by the integrationist bloc. In this context, the Foreign Minister of Venezuela, Ivan Gil, stressed that the country remains undefeated in defending its right to build a new social order to live in peace and stability. In addition, Foreign Minister Gil denounced the imperialist onslaught faced today by the nations of the regional bloc and highlighted the united response to the unilateral coercive measures imposed against Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua.
The implementation of the 2030 Agenda and the united response to the unilateral coercive measures imposed against Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua are a testimony to our determination to confront and overcome these obstacles.
We are not content to resist, we are building, with strategic vision, a new stage of cooperation that will allow us to advance in economic, agricultural, and financial development.
The creation of the ALBA-TCP Development Cooperation Agency will allow us to carry out a multilateral offensive to allocate resources for integral development projects in our countries, hand in hand with Petrocaribe, but also with extra-regional allied countries.
Likewise, the Venezuelan diplomat highlighted the reapproachment between ALBA-TCP and the BRICS as an instrument to strengthen collective capacities.
The formation of AgroAlba will be key to advance food self-sufficiency and mitigate the risks of climate change in our region. These actions prepare us to face with resilience and sustainability the challenges imposed by the climate emergency and the risks of natural disasters, prioritizing the mitigation of its impact on our countries. Our horizon of integration expands towards the global south. We see with optimism the rapprochement between ALBA-TCP and the BRICS, a strategic alliance that will enhance our capabilities and allow us to move towards a multipolar world where the peoples of the South will not only survive but prosper in equality and justice.
For his part, Cuba's Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez reiterated at the bloc's political council the call for respect for the self-determination of the peoples and for the cessation of foreign interference in internal affairs.
Today we see with concern how one of the founding countries of this alliance is being attacked with noted belligerence. Venezuela is once again facing the economic, political, and media arsenal of imperialism and right-wing extremism aimed at dynamiting its sovereign process of economic, social, and cultural development. We reiterate our firmest support to the government of President Nicolas Maduro Moros and to the civil-military union of his people. It is up to Venezuelans alone to settle their own affairs free from external interference.
Heads of state and government representatives continued to take the floor Thursday on the third day of the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Our special envoy to New York, Jorge Gestoso, with the details.
Thank you. The reflection of all the members of the United Nations to create a mission on a permanent basis to keep the peace in Haiti has been the request of the President of the Transitional Council, that today take place in Haiti, because so far there's only a mission sent by the Kenyans. About 400 policemen has been sent already. I expect 2,500 by the end of the year, in order to keep only that part of the peace, especially in Port-au-Prince. They only secure the airport. Precisely because of that, the president of Haiti has a much more ambitious plans, and I say it's absolutely necessary to create that permanent mission of peace. That was one of the highlights. He says also that in Springfield, Ohio, it has been said by the candidate Donald Trump that the Haitian community there eats cats and dogs, and he said that is absolutely absurd. That is a shown of xenophobic and racist remarks against not only Haitians but all the immigrants in the U.S. He congratulates precisely the community of Haitians in that city, because there has been an example of good behavior and contribution to the city of Springfield. Before of that, we heard the president of the authority of the Palestine, we're talking about Mahmoud Abbas. He put special emphasis that he was not there in this case in the debate to respond to the lies, as he mentioned, of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He said that it's absolutely necessary to stop the crimes, and even he went further. He said to stop the genocide against Gaza that is taking place. He said it has to stop now. He put emphasis in now. He said that 70% of Gaza has been totally destroyed, that it's absolutely necessary that the United Nations eliminate Israel, because it doesn't deserve to be a member of the United Nations. He asked precisely to stop also the sending of weapons that are being sent by the US and the international community, especially the European Union, to feed precisely those, what is called the genocides. We're talking about more than 40,000 Palestinians has been killed, most of them children and women. And at the same time, he said it's necessary to implement as soon as possible a permanent peace. The aid is absolutely necessary, the aid for the people, because they say they have nothing, absolutely nothing in Gaza, and it's absolutely necessary to establish a two-states situation. We have heard also the speeches of some countries of our Latin America. We're talking Uruguay in the morning, in the afternoon was Costa Rica and Peru, and we are expecting tomorrow to have a fourth session of the general debate. We get back to you now.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. An Israeli strike in Beirut's southern suburbs on Thursday targeted the head of Hezbollah's drone unit, Mohammed Srour. Lebanon's health ministry said 2 people were killed in the attack, the fourth in a week against Hezbollah commanders in a densely populated area. According to the source requesting anonymity, the fate of the commander is still unclear. On the other hand, the Israeli military said it was carrying out precise strikes in Beirut without immediately providing further details. Lebanon's official national news agency said 3 missiles targeted a residential apartment in a 10-story building, which was close to the building where the head of Hezbollah's elite Radwan force, Ibrahim Akil, and other commanders were killed in a strike last Friday. In this context, Lebanese mourners performed prayers over the bodies of 10 members from the same family killed in an Israeli strike on southern Lebanon. Lebanon said that more than 1,500 people had been killed in almost a year of cross-border violence between Hezbollah and the Israeli army that has spiraled dramatically this week. According to figures in a statement released by the country's disaster management unit, 1,540 people have been killed, 60 of them in the past 24 hours, and 5,410 wounded in the ongoing hostilities. In the United States, protesters in favor of the Palestinian cause and in support of Lebanon mobilized in front of the United Nations General Assembly to demand an end to U.S. support for the Israeli regime. On the third day of the 79th United Nations General Assembly held in New York, citizens mobilized in front of the United Nations headquarters to demand the U.S. government to withdraw its support to Israel due to the genocide it perpetrates against the innocent civilians in the Gaza Strip. They also called for a permanent ceasefire and the implementation of policies to stop Israel's aggression against the Palestinians and respect for their human rights. In addition, the aim of this protest is also to condemn and reject the Israeli crimes against humanity. The 7th edition of the Russian Energy Week Forum kicked off under the theme Energy Cooperation in a Multipolar World, which seeks to strengthen trade and economic ties between the BRICS and Africa and other allied countries. The country's capital, Moscow, hosts the gathering, whose agenda includes business rounds of the global energy sector with the participation of companies, organizations, industry leaders, and government officials. More than 4,000 delegations from more than 50 countries will address the challenges of the energy market, with energy as the basis for global development. Russian President Vladimir Putin met with his Equatorial Guinea counterpart, Teodoro Obiang Gema Mansogo, as part of an official working visit by the head of state of the African nation to Russia. The Equatorial Guinean leader was received at the presidential headquarters of the Kremlin by the Russian president to fulfill the presidential agenda. During the meeting, the two leaders discussed the development and strengthening of bilateral relations, in addition to addressing international and regional issues of common interest, with the purpose of strengthening the ties of cooperation and brotherhood for the joint growth of the nations. In this context, during her participation in the Russian Energy Week Forum, Venezuela's Executive Vice President Delcy Rodriguez highlighted the impact of unilateral sanctions on the economy.
Venezuela is today a sanctioned country. I think the introductory words by President Putin gave way for many debates to happen in the international community today, from the point of view of the energy market. I brought you this year's Sergei chart. This is the global oil production. 26% of the global oil production is currently illegally sanctioned, unilaterally sanctioned, violating international law. Without a doubt, the sanctions become economic aggressions and create problems in the energy market. That 26% of the world oil production is sanctioned today means that there's a barrel that is at a discount price, that there's a barrel that is not being invested on, that it is a barrel that is causing a disturbance in economic equilibrium.
The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, announced that the government has managed to balance bilateral trade by 2024 along with Turkey, surpassing $800 million. On an official press briefing, the head of state pointed out that good bilateral relations and high-quality strategic planning for imports and exports facilitated this achievement. In this regard, the Venezuelan president added that Caracas and Ankara reached a balance in addition to agreeing on a common path in the construction of a multipolar world between both countries. These statements came after Maduro headed the second Turkey-Caracas 2024 high-level fair exhibition.
Presidente Erdogan me insistió en la necesidad de
President Erdogan insisted me on the need to increase the balanced trade between the two countries. And I think that this year we started to reach the increase on the grounds of the real economy of a balanced trade. We could say that we aspire to exceed the figure of $800 million in trade by 2024, and today we could already say that we have managed half import, half export so far. Thus, this is how the economic and trade bilateral relations should be developed.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Hurricane Helene is intensifying, growing in size, and forecast to hammer Florida's Gulf Coast on Thursday with potentially devastating storm surge, damaging winds, and flooding rainfall. The impacts from Helene won't stop at the coast. Life-threatening flash flooding, damaging winds, and some tornadoes will also spread well inland into parts of the southeast. Helene became the fifth hurricane of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season late Wednesday morning. It is centered just under 5,000 miles south-southwest of Tampa, Florida, and is tracking north. Helene's maximum sustained winds are 8 meters per hour. The storm is drenching parts of Mexico's Yucatan and western Cuba. In Peru, some 58 wildfires have been controlled while 40 others remain active. The Peruvian Prime Minister Gustavo Adriansen declared that the armed forces, volunteer firefighters, and the National Civil Defense Institute have redoubled their efforts to confront the flames. Likewise, Adriansen made a call to the inhabitants of rural areas to raise awareness due to the vast majority of the wildfires had been broken out by human activity. Since July 1st, wildfires nationwide have led to 20 deaths and the burning of thousands of hectares. Human rights organizations in El Salvador denounced the consequences of the national government's security policies and the violation of human rights in the country's prisons. The Human Rights Association, Tutela Legal Maria Julia Hernandez, together with a movement of victims of the emergency regime, presented new complaints before the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights. They activated the international instance due to the lack of institutionality in the country and the absence of the rule of law, for which they request reparations for the victims and the state be condemned for its security policies.
On September 4, the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights presented the report El Salvador, State of Exception and Human Rights, where the serious violations of human rights committed in the country in the framework of the security policy are fully proven. The report means a great achievement for the victims who have fought to defend the life of liberty of thousands of people captured illegally and arbitrarily by the government.
They have been presented to the Human Rights Ombudsman's Office, to the Attorney General's Office of the Republic, and unfortunately to the Constitutional Chamber of the Supreme Court of Justice, which in general has issued inadmissibility and admissibility rulings. In view of this situation, it has been necessary to activate the international instance, since there is no functioning institutionality in El Salvador, and as we know, there is no rule of law.
I was shocked by the UN speech where he says that here we have freedom's persons, that there is no violation of human rights, but the deceased are coming out of the prisons, tortured, and the press is being attacked by the authorities. We saw this in previous days.
The president of Bolivia, Luis Arce, recognized the performance of police officers in the defense of sovereignty and democracy during the ceremony of their promotion to generals after 35 years of work and commitment to the country. The head of state assured that the immediate promotion to their new ranks, more than a reward, is the beginning of a new chapter in the history of the institution. He also emphasized that for the first time, Bolivia will have a four-star career general, denominated superior general. In addition, the president also urged the new generals to continue to be the leaders of citizen security, to guide and administer the police service towards the security and protection of the people. In Mexico, relatives of the 43 Ayotzinapa students reiterate their calls for justice, while President López Obrador ratified the commitment of the next government to continue investigating the case. On the 10th anniversary of the disappearance of the 43 Ayotzinapa normalistas, President Andrés Manuel López Obrador expressed his solidarity with the parents of the missing students and affirmed that there will be no impunity for those involved. He also emphasized the commitment of the government of President-elect Claudia Sheinbaum to continue and advance with the due investigations. Moreover, López Obrador praised the progress made during his sixth-year term to clarify the facts and presented a report with annexes that summarize what has been achieved in the investigation of the incident. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.